Hello all and welcome to the GMAT Advanced Target 700 Plus series. Today we are going to see the 19th installment of the verbal part of the whole series, and in continuation with where we had left in the 18th installment of the series, we are going to look at some strengthening weakening questions, which is a prominent question type that comes in critical reasoning. For those of you who want to see our previous videos on critical reasoning, you must go and refer to videos 15 to 18. For referring to our videos on the GMAT Advanced reading comprehension questions, you must go and visit videos 1 to 15 of the same series. So let's kind of continue on this particular video. So let's look at this particular question. Now it says that there is a political advertisement and it says Mayor Delmont's critics complain about the jobs that were lost in the city under Delmont's leadership. Yet the fact is that not only were more jobs created than were eliminated, but each year since Delmont took office, the average pay for the new jobs created has been higher than that year's average pay for jobs citywide. So it stands to reason that throughout Delmont's tenure, the average paycheck in the city has been getting steadily bigger. Now we have to find out which of the following, if true, most seriously weakens the argument of the advertisement. Now, as I have told you a lot of times, one of the most important things for analyzing reading comprehension and critical reasoning questions is to figure out as quickly as possible what is the primary argument in question. Now, in this case, the primary argument here is that whether or not during Delmont's tenure, the average paycheck in the city has been getting steadily bigger. This is your primary argument. And we need to weaken it. All right. Now let's look at the options. Option A says the unemployment rate in the city is higher today than it was when Mayor Delmont took office. Now, before we analyze this option, just look at this particular option and compare it with what is our primary argument here, because we have to weaken the argument. All right. Now, the unemployment rate in the city is not primarily our argument. Our argument is to look at the average paycheck in the city. So very quickly, you can knock off this option. This is asking you for something very different. If you look at option B, it says the average pay for jobs in the city was at a 10-year low when Mayor Delmont took office. Now, whether it was 10 years ago or it was 15 years ago, it does not really matter. The baseline, whether it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago, does not matter. Why? Because if you look at the question closely, it says throughout the tenure. Okay, so it does not matter when the tenure started, but during that time when Delmont was the mayor, the average paycheck in the city has been getting bigger. So whether you are comparing it with a period that was 10 years back or 50 years back, this is out of the question. All you have to worry about is the mayor's tenure. All right. So the important thing here is what happened during mayor's tenure. So D also goes out. Let's look at option C. It says each year during Mayor Delmont's tenure, the average pay for jobs that were eliminated has been higher than the average pay for jobs citywide. Now look at this particular option. This is very, very crucial. We know for a fact that ever since Delmont took office, the average pay for the new jobs created is higher than the average. Okay, so what is happening here? Okay, let's look very closely. You have a set of jobs. New jobs come into the pool. the average pay of new jobs is greater than the average pay of jobs. Okay, so you have the total jobs, you will have the average pay of these jobs. We know for a fact that the new jobs that are being created, these jobs, their average pay is more than the average pay of the total jobs. Because if this has been happening and we have to weaken this, what is the one thing that can weaken? We know for a fact again that jobs have been lost. Jobs have been eliminated. All right, which means there are some jobs that are going out. Now, what will happen over time? If you have some jobs and jobs keep going out and the new jobs coming in, and the average pay of the newer jobs is greater than the average pay of the jobs, then the average pay over time will keep increasing, which is a good thing, right? So the average pay will keep going up. But now look at the jobs that are being eliminated. What if the average pay for jobs eliminated was greater than again sorry. Okay. So what if the average pay for jobs that were eliminated was greater than the average pay of jobs? What will happen? What is happening is that higher paid jobs are going out. Of course, higher paid jobs are also coming in. This is the average of jobs. Higher paid jobs are coming in. If higher paid jobs keep going out, then what will happen? The argument that the paycheck in this city has been steadily getting bigger will not hold. So let us say the average job, the average pay for jobs here is $40,000. The average pay of jobs that are new is probably $50,000. Okay, and the average pay of jobs which are getting eliminated, if that is $60,000, then what will happen? Over time, your average pay will start to come down from something like somewhere between 40 to 60. It will come down to somewhere between 40 to 50, if not lower. All right, so that is the only option that can actually weaken the primary argument. Hence, we mark it as our probable option. Let's look at option D. Option D says most of the jobs eliminated during Mayor Delmont's tenure were in declining industries. It does not really matter which industries they were in. Okay, this is, as we have discussed, very, very irrelevant what industry they were in. Till they are paying jobs, we don't care what industry they are from. Let's look at option E. The average pay for jobs in the city is currently lower than it is for jobs in the suburbs surrounding the city. Again, we don't care about what is the job or the average paycheck in the suburbs. This again is irrelevant. We don't care about industries. We don't care about other cities. We are only concerned about this city, and we are only concerned about Delmont's tenure. Okay, so this also is wrong. Option C becomes our answer. I hope you guys were able to follow this. If not, you can go back and look at the reasoning again and develop your own critique of the answer as well as the solution. Let's look at another question. Now this one says that in an experiment, volunteers walked individually through a dark abandoned theater. Half of the volunteers had been told that the theater was haunted and the other half that it was under renovation. The first half reported significantly more unusual experiences than the second did. The researchers concluded that reports of encounters with ghosts and other supernatural entities generally result from prior expectations of such experiences. Okay, so very simple. You have kind of like this big group of volunteers. It is spread into two groups. Let us say it is group A and then group B. You had a lot of volunteers. Now A has been told that this is a haunted theater, right? So let's call it haunted. And then B has been told that it is under renovation. Now the guys who have been told haunted, they report a probability that they saw supernatural experiences when they were told it is haunted is greater, and that they saw supernatural when they were told that it's in the renovation is lesser. Now, why is this happening, right? We have to find out. Okay, so sorry, we also have an argument, all right? It says there is a conclusion that says if you have been told, okay, if you have a prior expectation of ghosts, then there is a high chance that you will report seeing a ghost. This is very natural, right? We told this bunch that there will be ghosts, and yes, they reported that there were ghosts. We told these guys that there will not be any ghosts, and that is what they reported. It's very, very intuitive. Now let's see which of the following can basically weaken this argument. All right, let's look at it. Option A says none of the volunteers in the second half believed that the unusual experiences they reported were supernatural. Okay, that's fine. That is something that is already stated in the passage. This does not weaken it. This is kind of like a fact that was already stated. Let's look at option B. All of the volunteers in the first half believed that the researcher's statement that the theater was haunted was a lie. Now, if these guys, they believe that, everything that they are being told is a lie, then they would not basically come back and, report that they saw ghosts. If they believed that it was lie, why would they go and report ghosts? In that case, there is nothing much that you can say about anything. You can neither strengthen it nor weaken it. If essentially they believed it was a lie and they reported seeing ghosts, then probably there were ghosts. But in that case, the second group should also have seen them, because the second group was not blind, right? It just believed that the theater is under renovation. Okay, so this option actually does not logically fit. It does not fit with the passage and the question. So this is kind of like an illogical fit. Let's look at option C. Before being told about the theater, the volunteers within each group varied considerably in their prior beliefs about supernatural experiences. Now, this is very, very important, guys. Okay, so when you form these two groups, both of these have to be equally biased or equally unbiased, right? Now, let us say you kind of already believed in ghosts. Okay, let us say people who came in group A, they believed in ghosts prior. Okay, you have prior belief. Now, irrespective of what the instructor tells me or doesn't tell me, if I have a belief in ghosts, then that belief is not going away anytime soon. On the other hand, if in group B there is nobody that has this belief, then there is a high chance that, group A, irrespective of whatever it was told, is going to believe in ghosts, whereas group B, irrespective of what it was told, is not going to believe in ghosts, or is not going to report that, they saw supernatural experiences. All right, so it is very important that both groups have probably balanced people. But if the volunteers within each group, if they varied considerably in their prior beliefs, let us say these guys believed heavily in supernatural experiences as compared to these guys, then it does not depend on the briefing. Because what is our question? Our argument is that prior expectation, okay, expectation, not experience. Okay, what about experience? यहाँ पे we have just given them expectations, right? But if they had prior experiences, or if they had a prior belief, then expectations are not going to run the show. It is the belief that is going to run the show. All right. So this reasoning that prior expectations, if you give it to somebody, that probably gets countered by the fact that that person has very, very strong standing beliefs about a topic any which ways. So option C becomes our answer. We'll, before we finalize C, we'll look at D and E as well. Let's look at D. It says each unusual experience reported by the volunteers had a cause that did not involve the supernatural. Again, this does not fit logically. All right. So one, it is talking about a very tangential topic. Second, it does not fit into the passage as well as the questions. Okay. Let's look at option E. The researchers did not believe that the theater was haunted. Now, we don't care about what the researchers thought or never thought. Okay, it was a controlled experiment that got nothing to do with the researcher's own personal beliefs. So I think you guys would have appreciated some different types of strengthening, weakening questions today. In the next session that we meet, we'll again take our practice forward and hope that you guys build speed on these questions as we go ahead. Till then, keep practicing, keep preparing.